NTA International News.
President Buhari receives African Development Bank's president, expresses confidence that Nigeria will surmount its economic problems.
This is intended that national issues of global interest and opportunities that abound.
Diaspora can be a major.
Countdown to Edo State governorship election, INEC promises free and fair exercise. Hello there, it's good to have you join us on the news on NTA International. I am Shegun Lawale. President Muhammadu Buhari says Nigeria has the people and the resources to surmount our economic problems. Receiving the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, at the State House, President Buhari said that it will take hard work on the part of Nigerians, but the nation will make it. The president said the country appreciates helping hands being lent by the ADP, assuring Nigerian-born Adesina, who was the immediate past Minister of Agriculture, that the present administration will not let him down. The ADP president, Dr. Adesina, appreciated President Buhari for the support the country gave when he ran for ADP presidency, which made him the first Nigerian to occupy the position since the bank was established in 1964. A statement by the special advisor to the president, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said Dr. Adesina also lauded the Nigerian president for successes recorded in securing the country, particularly in the Northeast, noting that there can be no development without adequate security. The ADP bills described recent economic decisions taken in the country as bold, tough, uncomfortable, but right, adding that Nigeria will reap the dividends in the short and long run. He unfolded the packages his institution has for Nigeria, which include $1 billion of budget support, $300 million to create jobs for 185,000 youths, $250 million towards Northeast infrastructure development, $1 million grant to deal with challenges of internally displaced persons, $300 million for infrastructure development around Abuja, $200 million for Transmission Company of Nigeria to deepen facilities, among others. Dr. Adesina said ADB will give a total of $4.8 million as grant for institutional support, with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, getting $2 million, and $1 million to Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. The Vice President of India, Mr. Hamid Ansari, has arrived in Nigeria for a 3-day official visit. He was received on arrival by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and his wife. While in Nigeria, the two leaders will hold bilateral talks covering relations between both countries. The visiting Indian Vice President will also pay a courtesy visit to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He will also deliver a lecture at the National Defense College in Abuja before visiting Lagos, where he will also deliver a lecture at the University of Lagos. ECOWAS parliamentarians have expressed concern about the prevailing economic recession being faced by Nigeria. Consequently, they want the government to be more strategic in its efforts to get the country out of the situation and not rely on panic measures. Joseph Orok reports that this was the fallout of the country's report presented to the parliament by Nigeria's National Group of Parliamentarians at the session.
As it is titled in the order paper, countries reports, Nigeria, Liberia, Togo, and Guinea took their turn to give an update on the general socio-economic and political situation in their countries since the last presentation in May 2016. The countries report also analyzes the status of implementation of ECOWAS programs, as well as human rights, democracy, and good governance situations in the region. Although reports from Liberia, Togo, and Guinea attracted reactions, parliamentarians focus more on issues bordering on economic recession in Nigeria, efforts by governments to release Chibok girls, the fight against terrorism, and pipeline vandalism. According to them, Nigeria, as big African brother, must be in sound footing to continue to shoulder its responsibility.
Particularly the problems of Boko Haram. And a lot of believe that a lot more could have been done, particularly worried about Chibok girls. So I had to assure them in my report that a lot is being done. One, this is security matter. So every detail that they may want us to give couldn't be given. But I know for sure that government is doing everything to resolve this issue of Boko Haram.
In the National Assembly, we're talking about the PIB. And we know that one of the sections in that bill will definitely address some of the agitations, because some of them are agitated, they're from the host communities. So we're going to have a legislation that will deal with the host communities, what is coming to them, because really that's the bottom line to all this. So
the parliamentarians urged the federal government to strengthen its dialogue mechanism with the militants in Niger Delta region of the country to forestall further loss of oil revenue occasioned by pipeline vandalism. Joseph Orok, NTA News.
The need for proper and coordinated synergy between the fiscal and monetary policies to review the current interest rate to achieve the desired economic growth has been stressed. This was the unanimous view of guests on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria as they discussed solutions to the current high lending rate in Nigeria. Salih Abdullahi reports.
The discussants identified various reforms such as the review of electricity tariff, removal of fuel subsidy, and the increment of non-performing loans as crucial in high lending rates.
The reality is that we've got to sit around the table and actually agree what it is we have to do.
But it is important that we should know that there are agencies of government in this country. There are banks established specifically to deliver low credit to manufacturers. What are they doing? Where is the Bank of Industry? Where is NCRDB?
Whatever we choose to implement in this country, we need to have the patience. The central bank has demonstrated that by continuing to stay with their course of action, even when they had not seen an immediate result.
To create the desired business-friendly environment and positively turn around Nigeria's economic fortune, the guest said there should be consistency in and enforcement of policies.
Today, you have a situation whereby our GDP is minus 2.3. That is about 800% fall in our GDP.
And for this nation to make progress, we need the government to help us and assist us to make sure that we can continue to produce and make reasonable profit.
They said Nigerians need to work hard to turn around the economy. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Nigerian delegation to the 71st UN General Assembly says Nigeria's outing has given the country a new rating on issues of climate change, humanitarian concerns, and security. Correspondent Gabriel Ojo spoke with some of the delegates.
Mr. President, letting me conclude by reaffirming Nigeria's abiding faith in the United Nations and in her capacity to support member states to deliver on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I thank you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the statement just made. May I request representatives to remain seated while we greet the President.
From the general debate presided by Nigeria's Foreign Minister, Geoffrey Oyama, to sideline events, national issues of global interest were put forward. What, therefore, are the takeaways?
The takeaway is that we've just underscored our commitment to the historic agreement that was happened in Paris. We've signed the Paris Agreement now. It includes a commitment to our NDC, and then we will hope to ratify at COP22 in Morocco.
This is intended that these treaties are forwarded or conventions, it becomes necessary forwarded to the legislature. It will be easier to paddle them through, the legislators having been part of the ceremony.
As a nation, we are fully and totally committed towards combating the devastating effects of climate change, and by so doing benefit from the immense opportunities that abound.
Diaspora can be a major part of the solution to whatever challenges we're going through at this point in time. And President Buhari has instructed that we ensure that we achieve success with our brothers and sisters in the diaspora.
In New York, Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu says there is no going back on the ministry's commitment towards supporting the government's agricultural development policy. The minister said this in a message to the flag-off of the second Graduate Youth Empowerment Scheme in Abuja, Ogun State capital. Musba Danwahab reports.
Signed a public-private partnership agreement with Songhai Integrated Farms barely 4 months ago. The goal is being pursued vigorously. The objective is to reposition and strengthen the River Basin Development Authorities, RBDAs, to become major economic nerve centers to support the economic diversification policy of the government. Part of the agreement is to empower about 1,200 graduates across the country through the Graduate Youth Empowerment Scheme. After the inaugural flag-off in Kogi State, Water Resources Ministry continues the series with the flag-off of a second scheme in Ogun State under the Ogun River Basin Development Authority. The selected graduates will be trained in fishery, poultry, and crops production.
The beneficiaries will subsequently be empowered through other government intervention programs to establish their own agri ventures or become trainers in their own right, thereby creating a multiplier effect to further sustain the objectives of the program with the attendant positive impact on the economy through improved food production and employment generation.
According to the ministry, the farm scheme, which will be spread across the country, would help to enhance the capacity of the RBDAs to complement rural infrastructure and advance agricultural support services. In Abuja, Musbal and Wahab, NC News.
Now to political matters. 19 political parties fielded candidates to slug it out in the election holding on Wednesday, the 28th of September. Ifeanyi Okafor reports that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it is committed to ensuring the success of the election.
Activities heightened barely 2 days to the governorship election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, having put behind the issues leading to the postponement of the earlier date for the election, says it is now even better positioned to conduct a free, fair and credible exercise.
So we had to do reverse logistics, bring back certain materials, bring back materials from the field to the local government offices, and then other materials like the card reader to the state office to be reconfigured.
Sensitive and non-sensitive materials deployed for the elections have been safely deposited in the 18 local government areas of the state for onward distribution to the wards and voting points across the state. Expectations of registered voters and other observers are for the major contenders to the election to play by the rules and avoid acts that could create political tension amongst the citizenry.
INEC must organize and hold an election where the people will vote and where the vote will count. Where the slogan of one man, one vote, one woman, one vote, one youth, one vote must count.
I want to urge the indigenes of that state to make sure that conducive environment is created. The issue of ballot box snatching, stuffing, thuggery, with the introduction of our new card readers, have reduced tremendously.
My expectation about the Edo election to be successful and peaceful.
With a population of about 4 million people, Edo State was created in 1991 with its capital in Benin City. The state has a voting population of 1.4 million people. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Okafor, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has deployed 25,000 regular policemen to beef up security for a free and fair governorship election in Edo State. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer and Deputy Commissioner of Police, Don Awuna, says the number is in addition to the tactical teams drawn from the mobile force, counter-terrorism, special protection unit, explosive ordnance disposal, Air Wing and Marine units. The statement adds that restriction of vehicular movement starts from midnight Tuesday 27 to 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening. It enjoins the people of Edo State to be law-abiding and peaceful, as security agents have been directed to be decisive in dealing with any breach of the law. This is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. There will be more reports after the break. Do stay with us.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. So let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thanks for joining us again. The National Human Rights Commission has taken steps towards addressing an alleged violation of human rights of a construction company by the Nigerian Navy. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Professor Ben Angwe, while receiving a delegation from the Nigerian Navy on the matter, promised a fair investigation in accordance with the rule of law. Justin Bemui reports.
19th of September, the company filed a petition at the Commission alleging that armed naval personnel early in the year at various capacities abused the inalienable rights of its management and staff on the project site and also threatened further violations. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, represented by the Managing Director of Naval Building and Construction Company, Commodore Abdul Adamu, appeared before the Commission following a summon for fact-finding.
On our part, we are going to respond appropriately, but for clarity, most of the allegations are not correct. But we are before the Commission, we are going to respond to those human rights allegations as he has labeled.
The Commission maintained investigations on the matter will be prompt and impartial.
Nigerians will know the outcome of our investigation. In accordance with our rules of procedure, as you have come here, we will give you an opportunity to state your side and we'll take your statements on note.
Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Adamawa State Governor Bindo Umaru Jibrila says the people of Mubi, one of the worst hit towns by Boko Haram, will forever be grateful to President Muhammadu Buhari for the restoration of peace in northeast Nigeria. The governor said these are the launch of a program designed to complement government's efforts towards the rapid healing and socio-economic reconstruction, as well as the development of the region.
It is a known fact that before the taking over of power by the present administration, it was absolutely impossible for the people of Mubi to converge at the Emir's Palace for any activity.
We must appreciate Muhammadu Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now we know we have conventional military that came through our President, through the commitment of our President. Today Boko Haram is almost becoming a history.
Some of the indigents who spoke with NTA News say the restoration of peace to the region was as a result of the political will of President Muhammadu Buhari to end insurgency in the northeastern region of the country.
It has not been easy for us, but when he came in, both the tactics and the strategy changed. It was made possible for them to overpower the Boko Haram and peace has returned to Mubi. That is why we are today happily in Mubi and making celebrations.
Muhammad Buhari, when he came in, carried on the fight of dismantling the Boko Haram people. And then besides that, he also sent in massive assistance to the affected areas.
The federal government has continued to intensify efforts through the presidential initiative for the Northeast towards the rebuilding of the region. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Up next is business news with Olayinka Ojo.
Welcome to Business News. South Africa's Statistician General Palilahola said the country's total income derived from manufacturing industry increased by 9.4% from 2011 to 2014, which amounts to a total of 2.2 trillion rand. Statistics release revealed the performance of the manufacturing and construction industries for the year 2014. The reports present information on income generated by enterprises in the sector, as well as profit margins, employment, and expenditure. German business rose far more than expected in September, reaching its highest level in more than 2 years, signaling that executives had brushed off concerns about Brexit that had weighed on their mood last month. The Munich-based Economic Institute said its Business Climate Index, based on a monthly survey of 7,000 firms, reviewed 106.3 in August, the biggest monthly increase since July 2010. Oil held steady on Monday as the world's largest producers gather in Algeria to discuss ways to support the market. Price fell by nearly 5% last week, dented by signs that Saudi Arabia and Iran were making little progress in achieving a preliminary agreement to freeze production. Before we go, a check at closing figures on the floor of Monday's equities market. And that's it on the business segment of the news. I am Olayinka Ojo. The news continues.
Moving on to sports. Competitions intensify at the second National Youth Games in Ilorin, Kwara State, as Team Nigeria emerges victorious at ITF West and Central African Tennis Circuit. Kene Emagbodike has details on Sports Update.
Over 2,000 athletes from 22 states of the Federation have been screened by some zonal directors and experts at the ongoing 2016 National Youth Games in Ilorin, Kwara State. The exercise is aimed at getting the real athletes that fall within the age bracket. Director, Grassroots Sports Development, Ademola Are, said the successful ones have since started participating in the 15 sports categorized under racket, combat, athletics, and board games. Meanwhile, the games are already witnessing some outstanding performances as some events have been concluded with teams vying for a place on the medals table. As at the time of filing this report, 7 states have registered their presence on the medals table, with Team Kando and Team Akwa Ibom leading the pack with a gold medal each. Team Nigeria emerged overall winners of the 2016 International Tennis Federation West and Central Africa Under-18 circuit, which ended in Lomé, Togo at the weekend, with Barakat Quadri beating Marion Karin Job of France 6-3, 6-3 at the final of the third leg of the World Ranking Tournament. Nigeria topped the circuit with 4 gold and 1 silver medals, beating South Korea, which came second with 4 gold medals. Egypt and France placed joint third with 1 gold and 1 silver each, while USA and Cote d'Ivoire bagged a gold each to finish joint fourth in the 19-day circuit. In golf, Rory McIlroy won a playoff to seal victory in the Tour Championship, taking the $10 million FedEx Cup prize in Atlanta. McIlroy, who paid tribute to golf icon Arnold Palmer, who passed on weekend. With Sports Update, Kenen Imabodike, NTA News.